Kingdom of the Vandals was created in 435 AD by King Genseric after his nomadic tribe, the Vandals, moved from Hispania after being chased out by the Visigoths into North Africa. The Vandals would remain in the area until they were defeated by the Eastern Romans in 534 AD. From there, the remaining Vandals would integrate into local Bedouin tribes. The Vandals' origins can be traced back to Germania, where many of the barbarian tribes came from. They migrated from the region around 400 AD after being chased out by the Huns and slowly made their way down south. They briefly settled in northwest Hispania before moving into southern Hispania in 418 after being chased out by the Visigoths, who were paid by the Romans to do so. In 428, Genseric was elected king of the newly united tribes of the Vandals and Alans. Under his strong leadership, the various Vandal tribes and Alans were brought together under one king. Around this time, Genseric ordered the construction of a large fleet so the Vandals could settle in North Africa. Genseric and his Vandals overran the Roman province of Africa in 430. They besieged the city of Hipporegius, but after a 14-month siege, the Romans held off the Vandals. The Vandals remained in the region and moved into the city right after the Roman army left, making Hipporegius their first capital. Western Roman Emperor Valentinian III made a peace treaty with the Vandals in 435 and let them settle in the western side of the northern Africa province. The treaty, however, was broken by the Vandals in 439 when they invaded the eastern side of North Africa and captured the city of Carthage, sacked the city, and later occupied it. King Genseric made Carthage his headquarters for looting and plundering the Western Empire. His large barbarian fleet ruled the seas and launched his invasions of Sicily and Italy from there. He called his kingdom the dwellings of the men with whom God is angry. After the constant raids and lootings of southern Italy and Sicily, Valentinian made another treaty with the Vandals in 442. This officially gave the Vandals total control of not only the North Africa province, but the grain trade as well. Genseric knew about how important the grain trade was and sold it to the empire, with the Vandals as the overseers who added their own tax to the shipments. The African grain fed both sides of the empire, and it was unmolested shipments that were vital to its survival. Despite the treaty, the Vandals continued to raid the Roman territories. Valentinian wanted to be closely aligned with the Vandals and bring them into the empire as allies instead of enemies. The emperor wanted to marry his daughter Eudocia to Genseric's son Hineric, but in 455, Valentinian was assassinated. Valentinian was assassinated by Maximus on March 16, 455 AD. He quickly married the dead emperor's widow, Eudocia, canceled the previous arranged marriage, and was named the new ruler of Rome by the Senate. Eudocia was instead married off to Maximus' son, Palladius. Eudoxia wrote a letter to Genseric to help rescue her family from the new emperor, Maximus. Genseric, feeling slighted by the cancellation of the arranged marriage, the death of Valentinian III, and a new emperor vowing to reclaim North Africa, was motivation enough to invade Italy. This time, Genseric and his Vandals were going to sack Rome. When the word that the Vandals were sailing to Rome reached Emperor Maximus, he and his son, Palladius, tried to flee the city on May 31st, 455. Father and son didn't get very far, however, as they were beset upon by an angry mob who stoned them to death. The mob later mutilated their corpses and tossed them into the Tiber River. On June 2nd, 455, the Vandals arrived in Rome and sacked the city for 2 weeks. They took everything that wasn't nailed down, and when there was nothing left of value to take, they started to break things and cause a wave of mass destruction, living up to their name. Genseric ran off with Eudoxia and her daughters. The sack of Rome could have been much worse if it wasn't for Pope Leo I, who talked to Genseric before he entered the city and told him to have his men refrain from mass murder, rape, and arson. In 458 AD, Western Roman Emperor Majorian set out to reconquer much of the old Roman territory that was now in direct control of the barbarians. He ordered a rebuilt Roman navy in 460 and was about to launch an invasion of North Africa from Hispania before the Vandal king Genseric bribed his navy and destroyed the newly built ships on May 13, 460, ending Majorian's plans to retake the province. After Majorian was executed in 461, Genseric tried to install a puppet emperor. Olybrius, a Roman senator who was married to Placidia, the daughter of Eudoxia, whose other daughter, Eudocia, was married to his son Huneric. When Olybrius was passed over for Severus III, Genseric punished Rome by raiding the Italian coast. In 468 AD, the Eastern Roman Empire launched a massive invasion of North Africa led by General Basilicus. He led a fleet of over 1,000 ships and had 50,000 soldiers. But the Vandal navy used fire ships to confuse the landing party, and in the chaos sank over 100 Roman vessels at the Battle of Cape Bon. This costly expedition by the Eastern Romans nearly bankrupted them, and the defeat marked the beginning of the end for Rome. Genseric ordered a similar attack on the province of Morea following the Eastern Roman defeat at Cape Bon, but they were crushed in 469. In 470, the general who was the puppet master of the Western Roman emperors, Ricimer, signed a peace treaty with the Vandals, ending all hostilities with the barbarian kingdom. In 476 AD, Eastern Roman Emperor Zeno and King Genseric signed a treaty which would ensure a perpetual peace between the two kingdoms. The founder of the Vandal kingdom, Genseric, would die on January 22, 477 at the age of 87. His empire would survive until 534 AD, until it was reconquered by the Eastern Romans during Justinian's restoration of the old Roman Empire.